Sorry. Hello, friends. Be with you in just a second. We'll see here in just a second if we have sound. Testing 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right, we do. Excellent. All right, thank you for joining me again today. This is part B, started part A a little while ago. As you can see, still experimenting with masking, a radical new concept, new today, April, it is April, right? April 10th, 2020. I won't repeat everything I said in the last broadcast. I'll just continue with where I left off, which is by using packaging tape. So, if for those of you who did watch the last episode, here's a light bulb came on at the end of my last layer. That was, oh wait a minute, I should take off all the masking that I put here last time. I've now taken off. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So I'm remasking anything that I want. Someone asked in my last episode, are you not worried about the tape pulling off paint? And I wasn't, but now I am, because it turns out, indeed, it did pull off a little bit of tape. So, I mean, it did pull off a little bit of paint. So, first of all, that doesn't bother me, because where it pulled off just creates a little bit more interest. But also, I'm going to be more careful about how I take it off next time. So there you go. It also, as you can imagine, where this tape created little dams, it dammed up the paint. I got some interesting effects at the edges of some of this. Some of this masking, some of the tape, and that's again perfectly fine with me, because I'm all over interesting. So what I'm doing here now again is putting this tape. I'm calling it masking tape because that's the function. It's not, it's the function I'm using. I'm using this tape for the purpose of masking. It's not masking tape, but I'm using it to mask with. So in that sense, I could call it masking tape for masking. I'm putting it wherever. I'm not what I want to hasten to say. I said I'm not restricted to putting it the same place that I put it a little while ago. All right, then let me, again, especially for any new people who are watching, what does then determine where I put it? And the answer is anywhere at all. Anywhere where my eye picks up on interesting color and texture is the main thing. So much of what I just did is I remasked in a very approximate manner where I had masked the last time around. So reapplying, if you will, but not in exactly the same position. So that will help a lot too, because I mentioned earlier, I don't want corners. I don't want one of these corners to show up necessarily on the painting. That doesn't seem to me like that would be a pleasant effect. But even that, I might probably worry about it more than I Need to. This is the first today. This is the first day I have ever done this. Is that clear? This is the first time I've ever done really pretty much anything like this. Used a masking technique in my acrylic / oil paintings. So for those of you who are new, everything on the canvas right now is acrylics. That's why it's dry, so that's why I can slap paint on it, right? Hello, my art, and hello again, Aslan. Good to have you here. Aslan, you're the Aslan I know, right here in Raleigh, right? Is that correct? My kids, my grandchildren were just saying the other day, when's Aslan coming over again? Are you that Aslan? I'm assuming you are, because I don't know what your name is on Facebook. But if that's you, the grandchildren were saying just yesterday, like, when is Aslan going to come over? So you're not forgotten, my friend. I look forward to next time. All right, now to the more pertinent question. What makes me decide where to put the tape of masking? And the answer is anything that catches my eye, any color or texture. In other words, this has nothing to do with realism. Okay, so I'm not using the masking tape in order to accurately capture a cityscape, right? Right. I'm using the masking to retain interesting abstract marks that were essentially an accident when they happened. But now I look at it and go, ooh, that's a nice accident. I want to keep that one. All right, so let me see if there's any more bits that call to me. Yeah, I think right there. I like that. A little bit of bright green. You know what? I want to keep more of this area up here. This is the largest area of all. This yellow-orange stuff up here. And so it's actually growing. By the way, that is, in my thinking, that the amount of area that I'll mask with each subsequent layer will get larger, I think, instead of smaller. And in other words, every time I mask, I'm going to do a little bit more. Now, let me, again, rush ahead a little bit. I start all my paintings like this in acrylics and then switch to oil. When I switch to oil, I can't use this tape technique anymore. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but at the moment, I'm thinking either wax paper or saran wrap, and I'm not sure which. Oh, now I'm getting into cutting it with my teeth. That works really well. I'm serious. That really did work well. All right, now I'm done with masking for a few minutes. And almost the next thing I'm going to do, almost, is white acrylics again. But before I do the white acrylics, I'm going to do some this is watercolor sticks. So very much like watercolor pencils, which some of you might know I use quite a bit in my watercolor paintings. Or if you will, you know when you were kids and you had watercolors that came in little pans, little dry cakes? Well, that's kind of what this is, except it's just a more intense version of that. And, that, wait a minute. That right there is lovely. So here's the way my brain is working. Do you understand? All of a sudden my brain goes, wait a minute. That right there, that's worth keeping. I don't want to lose that. So, and then I'm going to slap some tape on there so that it will, whatever else I do in this next layer, this is protected. All right. So let me explain a little bit then about my about this watercolor stick. Some of you will be deeply disturbed. Like, wait, you can't use watercolor and acrylics. Okay, it's essentially pigment, right? Just think of all the paints we use: pastels, watercolor, acrylic, oil, gouache. Think of them all as all of those are essentially a pigment. That means a color suspended in some medium or other, right? And so this is a red pigment suspended in some kind of waxy substance, typically called, watercolor. And so here's what's going to happen. When I apply acrylic on top of this, it's going to almost completely, overrule this binder. This medium will be overwhelmed with acrylic medium. And at that point, it will turn into acrylic paint. Because what is acrylic paint? Pigment in a plastic acrylic wet binder, right? So I'm probably confusing you, never mind. So no, the red that I just did will turn into acrylics, so to speak, as soon as I apply acrylic stuff to it. All right, now, fun. Essentially, with each stage, each phase of my painting process, I achieve a slightly higher degree of detail and or realism. Right? Does that make sense? So each layer, I achieve a slightly more accurate or realistic. Hang on, sorry. Having a hard time getting the acrylic out of this tub, out of this bottle. Whew. So, let me repeat that. Every stage, every layer, every phase, and Dan Nelson's, my painting is very phasic. It's very stage-ish. My approach to painting is step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 16, 20, okay? I should have kept track of what layer. I'm on layer about 6, 7, maybe 8, something like that. I don't think 8, but maybe 7, at least 6. Right now, I'm about to do another layer of white. This is my second layer of white. This layer of white will probably be, no, will certainly be slightly, and the word here is the key concept for you painters, anybody who's trying to be influenced by me at all. The key is slightly more realistic, slightly more representational. That's all right? Definitely more accurate, more tight, more precise than the last time I did white acrylics. But only slightly more realistic. Okay, the tendency among my students, people who are again trying to be influenced by me, taking a class, for instance, and so forth, their tendency is to rush ahead and try to become too much. They try to they bite off more than they should chew. they rush to realism too quickly. Okay, so do you see the masking, the tape of masking, the masking doing its job right here? It's a little bit irritating because, in a sense, part of me wants to go, no, I want to paint white. I want to do white right there. And the masking is saying, oh no, you're not. We've got this covered. you can't paint us right here. And of course, at a deeper level, that's exactly what I want. The tape is there to keep me from making marks, in this case, from applying this white paint. So it's a little bit of background and history, again, especially for anybody watching who didn't catch my earlier broadcast this morning. I've been on a trajectory for quite some time of trying to figure out how to integrate more abstraction into my finished paintings. Now, if you are familiar with my finished paintings, then you can zip on over for just a minute. You can zip on over to my website, dannelsonart.com. dannelsonart.com. At the very top, click on paintings, and then when you open paintings, there are several albums there, and click on the top left one, which is acrylic oil paintings, and you'll see what my work looks like, and you'll see then, oh yeah, he is quite realistic, but that realism, so to speak, quote unquote, has bothered me a little bit. Now I want to continue to be just as accurate in my drawing. So when I say the realism bothers me, it's not the accuracy of it that bothers me, it's just the preponderance of it. I want just as much realism in my paintings. In fact, I want more accurate rendering, but I will also want more inexplicable abstract marks showing through. So those two things are in conflict with each other, as you can clearly imagine. I keep getting these two buildings right here. Very hard to decipher which building is which. So of course, if I can't tell by the photograph, then the painting doesn't need to it doesn't have to explain that either, but so I've been on this quest for quite some time. I've been on this struggle to try to figure out how to infuse, would be a good word, how to infuse my paintings with more beautiful abstraction. So it's not just abstract for abstract's sake, it's abstract because it's beautiful. So what you're watching here is an experiment. I've never done this before, where I've used tape to mask out part of my paintings. So we'll see. This is truly a real adventure here that you're watching. I honestly think part of what frees me up to really pursue and push, in fact, I think this is true of all the painters whose work I admire, all the painters whose work I grovel at, share this. They are consummate draftsmen. They are excellent at accurately capturing and rendering whatever it is they're painting. But their work has, in addition or along with that accurate rendering, has a high degree of abstraction in it. I can give you three names. These are three or four names, the names I mention all the time. Richard Schmid, less so. Tibor Nagy, spelled just the way it sounds, T-I-B-O-R-N-A-G-Y. Not to be confused, evidently, with the Tibor Nagy Gallery in New York City. So evidently, Tibor Nagy must be a common name in Eastern Europe somewhere. I forget right now where he's from. Latvia, Lithuania, Eastern Europe somewhere. Forgive me, Tibor, for not remembering where you're from. But anyway, his work is a great example of what I'm talking about. If you want to see, in a sense, what I'm aiming for, look at his work. Likewise, Jeremy Mann, M-A-N-N, out in San Francisco. Young guy, compared to me, 40-something maybe. Jeremy Mann, his work has this exquisite craftsmanship. My goodness. Yeah, again, the people whose work I admire have this ability to draw, even perhaps even better than I. I said that as though I think I'm all that. I didn't mean to. So anyway, I'm a pretty good drawer, but I would like to be even a better drawer. Or anyway, and then one more name, just if you're looking stuff up. This is a new one. This is the latest in my list of people I'd like to be. And this one is an extreme case of this. And he's a portrait painter named Christian Hook. Christian Hook. Big recent years, big, outrageously popular portrait painter in England, Britain. Won the British portrait competition a couple years ago. Anyway, if you wonder what I mean, what do you mean? So for several years, I've also, let me say who else is, hello, Rusty. Jeremy, yeah, let's find out if it works, huh? Hello, Melissa. Where's the tape? Patsy says, okay, there's a bit there. Big area there, pretty big area there, and there. At the end of this layer, at the end of this phase of the painting process, I will take all that tape off again. Now, it's possible that this right here, what I'm doing right now might be the last acrylic layer. I always end, my acrylics stage always ends in white, so, and I'm in white right now. So it's not my job to decide right now, so I'm not going to worry about it, but it's possible that this could be the last acrylic layer. And of course, the tape trick, the tape technique, will not work in the oil layer because the oil paint will be wet. So at that point, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got a couple ideas. I think I'm either going to use wax paper or saran wrap. Crazy, huh? You are welcome to say that's crazy. But back to some of my thinking over the last 10 years, at least the last 8 years, I would say. I don't write, it's hard to keep track. Time flies when you get older. But I think it was probably at least 8 years ago when I made the conscious statement, I want my paintings to be more accurate, more realistic, and also in addition to that, at the same time, more messy. So that was my overarching trajectory, and the verbiage, the literal verbiage that I use. I want my paintings more accurate and more messy. And so I've been on this journey to try to figure out how to introduce more of that, what I'm calling now messiness, that abstraction into my painting. And Melissa just tuned in. If you're still there, Melissa is she's a dangerous person to be watching me because because this painting is going to hang in her house. Now, not exactly her house. Melissa, I'm teasing, picking on. It's going to hang in her husband's office, which is in their house. So you know what I mean? It's like more in his space than hers, but yours too, Melissa. Anyway, and I mentioned earlier, Melissa, they said, isn't it a little bit bold, crazy to be experimenting to this degree on a commissioned painting? And my answer is yes. But that danger is mitigated to a degree by the fact that Melissa's husband, Scott, for whom I'm mostly doing the painting, has expressed to me that he particularly liked some of the paintings I did almost a year ago now that did, in fact, where I was very intentionally trying to retain more abstraction. So Melissa, that's my impression, is that Melissa is a painter, and Scott has expressed his desire, pleasure, attraction, drawn to my paintings that in fact did incorporate more of the abstract underpainting. So that's what has emboldened me. Melissa, I don't know if you are here, how much of this you've caught, but yeah, I'm doing an experiment, something I've never ever done before, but I'm excited about it. I feel confident enough about it. First of all, I don't think I'm going to ruin the painting. In the final edit layer, I can fix anything I might be, so to speak, ruining right now. I'm pretty confident of that. But I think there's a fair chance there's more likely to be a breakthrough for me than a tangent, because I have been puzzling for several years now how to retain more abstraction. By the way, I don't know if you guys, how well you can see this, but there's many places here where my white paint is picking up that red, here's a big area, that red watercolor pencil, watercolor stick, and then turning it into pink. And I knew that would happen, and I'm totally fine with that. It's like I'm not controlling it. I'm not manipulating it really. But I'm allowing it to happen. And again, I was aware of that when I did that pencil. So Melissa, fascinating experiment, huh? I've been mulling this over for several weeks, the idea of masking. And finally, just last night, sitting at the supper table across the room, looking at this painting, I said, oh, packaging tape. Now, if it ends up being a disaster, we're all going to find out together, and I'll never do it again. But be that as it may, I'm quite convinced that the experiment will lead to something. Whether it leads to doing this over and over again, I don't know. But anyway, I'm not too worried about it. Excited about it is more like it. So once again, each layer of the painting process, each stage, each phase reflects a slightly higher degree of realism or similitude. Every layer gets just a little bit more realistic. And again, that little bit is the key concept for my students. The single biggest mistake that my students make when they're trying to learn this is they rush and try to infuse too much realism in a single phase or single step of the painting process. So again, the secret for me is creep up step by step, little by little by little, sneak up on the subject. Let the image emerge slowly, slowly, slowly out of the mist, out of the mess. And my head is going. You can see my head, can't you? I'm looking at my photo reference quite a bit. There's a big tree branches coming over these buildings right here, or this building, and I am not just painting a quote-unquote tree. I don't know if I've ever put it that way before. Let me say that again. Students, how do you learn how to paint trees? One of the answers is don't paint, trees. Paint whoa, you guys got bumped. Sorry about that. You guys, don't paint trees, paint this tree or that tree. So indeed, I'm looking at my photo reference quite carefully, quite regularly, quite often, and I'm trying to capture this tree, not a tree. So that's good lesson. All right, a little change of pace here. About the official process for me is in the acrylic stage. All the light colors are achieved by putting down white and then glazing on top of them. But about 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5, perhaps, of my acrylic paintings, I will use actually a colored acrylic paint. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to mix up some pale opaque blue, phthalo bluish. I'm feeling phthalo-ish here. So I'm just mixing up some of my white and a little bit of phthalo. And now I am doing some local color. Up until now, I haven't really been focused on local color much at all. That is to say, that's what an artist calls real color, realistic color. But at the moment, I am in fact looking at things that are blue or bluish in the photograph. Now, I'm going to repeat something just in case there's anybody watching who hasn't watched me before or watched me in a while. I've got some verbiage. How to teach art. That's how to teach painting. My mind is always thinking about that. Always when I'm painting, sometimes when I'm not painting. How to teach, how to help other people be better painters. And of course, it goes without saying, how to help myself be a better painter, right? It's part of the reason why I broadcast every day, by the way, is because the teacher learns more than the pupil, and when I'm teaching, I learn more than you guys do. So you could look at all of this as quite a self-centered enterprise. You wouldn't be far from the truth, although I really do want to teach you guys as well. Yeah, so some of my recent mindset, recent verbiage, again, helping you all, helping everybody to be better painters. I have eschewed, good old archaic, old-fashioned English word. I have turned my back. I have made a conscious decision to reject the term and not to use the term loose painting. Okay, and I've used it like every art professor I know, like every art teacher I ever had, and just about every artist I've ever heard. Whoops, hang on. Hello.
Sir, I'm all done.
Are you done? Okay, good. Let me grab Nancy. I'm broadcasting. Can you find Mom and tell her? Come on in. I'm sorry, I'm broadcasting right now. Thank you for your work.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate it very much. That's E-Man, our young man that cuts our grass and trims our bushes and does all kinds of wonderful things for us so that I can keep painting.
Would you like some water again?
I love it.
You're good today?
All right, so I'm refusing to use the term loose. All right, if you haven't heard this little rant, then here it goes. The reason is I have come to realize that the term loose painting throws most early artists, sends them down a very bad path, sends them in a wrong direction, because when an art student, when a young artist, when somebody, as I say, early in their art journey, when they hear the term loose, that to them, that connotes irregularity, inaccuracy, loose painting to, in the ears of most students, equates with careless, sloppy, inaccurate painting, okay, or drawing is what I'm talking about. And that is, in my mind, far from the ideal, far from the truth. So instead of using the term loose, because the real issue is not looseness, the real issue is energy. Did I say that with enough emphasis? The real issue is energetic strokes or interesting marks. I'm talking to people on the internet right now. Few people are listening. 26 to be exact. Welcome. Hey, and I'm thrilled to discover that my stream is much more dependable here downstairs in my downstairs studio than it was in my upstairs studio. So that's why you Facebook people are getting pretty good steady stream. Anyway, so I'm broadcasting on both YouTube and Facebook at the same time. Just in case you wonder how am I doing that, there are services out there who will do that for you. Unfortunately, the last one I looked at charges $75 a month. Now, if I was making money on this broadcasting business, I'd be glad to fork out $75 a month. But I am not making money, not worth mentioning, about enough to pay our lawn service. I'm not making money, so $75 a month is too steep. Anyway, so I'm broadcasting by using 2 cameras, 2 control phones controlling those 2 cameras, and 2 monitors. So 246 pieces of electronics, not counting the sound. So 6. How many pieces of electronics? Just to give you a start: 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces of electronic equipment are all running right now. And sometimes that number is one more than that. It's 11. Anyway, and sometimes these devices get in arguments with each other. They start conflicting with each other, and information starts running uphill from devices. Like my microphone starts dictating to the phone, to one of my phones. Anyway, never mind. I was having some of that considerable problem last night. Did you like the way I just painted that car, by the way? That was some good loose painting. No, don't use that word. Don't use that word. Okay. It's just slipped out. Old habits die hard. Wow. That was a wow of wow. That was a wow of man. I like some of this. I like some of the stuff that's showing up on my canvas. That's the sound of a artist having good. It's not. And I don't know that non-artists understand this or would understand it. When I say wow, it's not a moment of arrogance or pride by any means. It's a moment more like of surprise, like, wow, that actually turned out. How'd that happen? That looks pretty cool. Wow. So that blue really did a lot of stuff. All right. I think it's time for another break because let me see what you guys are. What a fun piece. Thank you. Well, hello, Geneva and David Stickle. Good. I'm glad I didn't say anything about super realism, David. My friends, you regulars, David Stickle is on Facebook. One of my heroes and counter foils. Okay, every once in a while, David, I think you might have seen this. Every once in a while, I'll do a little bit of pretty tight watercolor realism. And anyway, guys, David, I talk about you quite a bit, actually. I really do, and it's always very good. In fact, somebody just the other day, I said, go look them up, and they did, and they came back and said, wow, David Stickle stuff is amazing. Good to see your name. And for those of you, I'm doing something today I've never done before, which is masking. All right, now hang on, I need to make a decision here. First of all, am I going from here straight to oil? I need to decide that. Bear with me. Thinking. Oh. Well, while I'm thinking, hang on. While I'm thinking, I'll do some more of this purple lavender down here in on this building. Did I explain why I don't use it? Yeah, I did. Why I don't use the word loose anymore. Because loose is not the issue and bad drawing is not the answer. The issue is not loose. The answer is interesting or energetic strokes, energetic marks. So you do want to aim for energy. You don't want to aim for loose. Because loose, again, carries the connotation of inaccuracy. And that would be a bad, in my opinion, that is not where good art lies. All right, now, I keep interrupting myself. Stop and think now. I'm going to do another glaze. I'm not done with acrylics. I just decided I'm going to do a little bit more. That means at least 2 more layers, because if I do color, I always finish with white. So, do I want to do a glaze while the tape is still here? Bear with me just a second. Okay, I know what I want to do. Leave the tape there for now. I'm going to do another application of these black pencils. And again, to you newcomers, or to those of you who either haven't watched me in a long time or have never watched me, I use these crazy jumbo jet black pencils distributed by Jerry's Artorama. They're kind of like a grease pencil. They're not as greasy as a grease pencil, but they're a little more waxy or greasy than a Conti crayon, for you artists who maybe know what a Conti crayon is. Okay, and again, this is very unconventional. As you can see today, especially, a lot of what I do as an artist is unconventional. I didn't set out to try to be weird, unconventional. It has just evolved that way over the years. That's enough. I could tell the story, but I've told it enough times over the years. I'm not going to repeat it, right? Not repeat it today. So I'm using pencils. They come out of Austria, it turns out, by the way. I talked to Ira down at Jerry's Artorama just a few weeks ago, because I'd been saying they probably come from China. So do I need to clean them with hydrogen peroxide before I use them? And he said, no, they actually come from Austria. So how about that? Now they're out of stock, by the way. They've been out of stock for several weeks, and I hope maybe they're in stock now. Even I'm talking about on their catalog, on their. By the way, let me talk about. I do this both with the pencils and when I'm drawing with brushes, small brushes. When I have an area like I just did right there, there's a whole bunch of lines, right? Windows and so forth. Let's come over here. There's more over here. You will often see me, so there's these big bars here. And then there's small lines. And instead of, like here, I was pretty orderly. Many times I'll just go like that, which should be confusing to you. If you're paying attention, that should be confusing, right? Because on the one hand, I'm saying accurate drawing, and the other hand, I go like this. Well, what's going to happen is that especially in the final edit layer, I'm going to cover up some of that mark. I'm going to let some of it show through. I'm going to cover some of it. And in the final analysis, it will look exactly like bars in those windows, even bars. But there'll be this fascinating, if I can use it, undercurrent, underneath mark, sub-theme, subcurrent of energy, energetic stroke. That's one kind of energetic stroke. There's many kinds. Same thing here. There's a dental molding here. When the painting is finished, this will look, dental is like a little block space, block space, block space, block space, that appears in a lot of architecture, indoors and out. And it refers to teeth, by the way. I'm sure that it's like teeth, dental molding. Anyway, that again, this will be very realistic. But instead of in the early stages, which everything I'm doing now is still early stages. In the early stages, it often works better to be very energetic. I'm talking myself into a hole, so I'm just going to stop right there and leave it right there. Also, what is that about? And again, some of you, if you're not familiar with my work, I hope you like this painting where it's at, so to speak, right now, but you're probably getting a wrong impression about what my finished work looks like. In fact, you might think this looks better. See, that's what I felt like in the last several years, is many times this stage is actually more exciting than the finished stage, and that really bothers me. Thus, the experiment I'm doing today there's a tree over here, so that's kind of an exception, right? Thus, the experiment I'm doing today with masking out areas. Hang on, I raise up, I can go all the way to the ceiling. That's it. And of course, there are cars here, some parked, some driving. And there's one car up close. This will require a little bit more careful rendering. A little bit more careful. Emphasis again on little bit, right? And my students tend to take that little bit and go too far with it. So save it, save it, save it. Sneak up on your subject matter, little by little by little. Don't rush ahead, because it's all this abstract stuff. Let me try to put it another way. I paint, as you know, maybe you don't know, I paint on the street a lot. You see me painting in my studio today. But I do a lot of plein air painting, a lot of plein air in the city, any city, especially this city, especially this street, because it's our main street in our city. People will come walking. I see this process. I see it lived out, acted out in front of me all the time. They will see me, blocks before they get to me, or a block, say, before they get to me, right? And they're walking toward me. They see there's an artist painting. They can't see my canvas, because let's say the canvas is painting the other way. So during the steps, this is what I see happening. They're walking. They go, wow, look at, there's an artist. Isn't that fun? Isn't that interesting? I wonder what his painting looks like. Yeah, they might even think, I can't wait till I come around the corner and see what the painting looks like, right? And so I get to experience, I observe this, I get to experience it on a not infrequent basis, because I'm out there with the public when I'm painting. And so I see their faces, and they see me, that I look like a reasonably hardworking fellow. and they can tell by my equipment that this guy doesn't look like a beginner, right? I think they make a number of judgments. Then they come around the corner and then look at my canvas, And especially now in the early stages, they go, not this stage, but earlier this, they think, golly, I hope this isn't your day job because you're not very good. But in the later stages, their eyes get big, their eyebrows go up, their jaw drops open, and they say, oh my God. What is getting that response out of them is not similitude, accuracy, realism of the painting. They were kind of expecting some realism of some kind. What gets the eyebrows up, eyes open, jaw drop, oh my God, is the confluence, the combination of accurate representation and all the crazy stuff that you guys see happening on this canvas right now. That's just one way to put it, just one way to describe. All right, now, everything's dry. I've got a decision now. I'm going to do another glaze, but do I want to take the tape off? And then, no, okay. Sorry, forgive me while I sometimes just have to decide what's next. No, I'm going to, tell you what, let me put it back up. I'm going to glaze with the tape in place, and then I'm going to take it off, and then reapply it, and then do one more layer of white, and then I believe I'll be done. I think I'll be done with the acrylic phase, the acrylic stage. All right, so here we go. So, using the pencils for a few minutes there gave the blue and purple stuff time to dry. Right, my friend. Don't call me, I'm broadcasting. Hello, Frino Kai, of Frino Key. I was looking for Let's Go Out of Joy. Hey, good, thank you, good to have you here. Frino? Oh yeah, that's right, Mayor Horn says, yes, of course there's a coronavirus in Austria as well. Anyway, okay, never mind. Yeah, and so she liked it better before I got to this point. That's always a possibility. When I'm finished, my painting will be slightly more realistic than it is right now, more detailed and more realistic. But what I hope to achieve is realism and abstraction conjoined, if I can use that term. Okay, so I've got yellow and orange acrylic on these brushes, and a lot of what I want to do right now, let's do more orange, is cover the white acrylic that I did a little while ago. Right, so there was white. I put white there, and now it's not white anymore. And that is how I typically apply color in the acrylic phase. This is the stage at which I was talking a while ago, by the way, about how when I apply acrylic washes, the watercolor, do you see these red marks right here? That's watercolor sticks. Kind of like watercolor pencils, only no wood, just all stick, okay, watercolor stick. And that pigment now, when I mix it with acrylic, which is what's on my brushes, it essentially becomes acrylic paint, okay? Now I'm glazing with a very pale blue. That was ultramarine. This is now phthalo. All right. So I'm going to end this broadcast shortly, I believe, but hang on just a second. I'm encountering another question, a masking question. I'm saying a masking question. That is, do I let this dry and then pull it off, or do I pull it off now? Well, let's try a little piece and see how it feels. Now, some of that area right up there has been masked twice. So this goes back 3 or 4 layers. And I think I like the idea of removing the mask now. Now, after, so is this making, I'm just plain old-fashioned masking right now, right? Where I'm pulling the tape off, you're seeing the areas. Oh yeah, if I pull it off now, some of the wet acrylic can drip down. That's nice. That's nice. Oh yeah. Okay. So pull it off while it's still wet. I'm learning here as I go. Yeah. There we go. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Is that all of it? Nope. Isn't this crazy? Isn't this just crazy? I'm having fun. Of course, that's the most important thing. I jest. That is not the most important thing. It is important, but it's not. The most important is, am I creating a thing of beauty? That's, in my opinion. And I think I am. So let me stand back. Wow. Okay, is it working? I'm asking myself now. Is it? I mean, in a physics sense, it's working, but is it achieving what I'm after? So like some of the areas that are underneath stuff exposed, there, big area there, little here, there, here. And I have to say, yeah, I think so. I'm far from done, of course. So, let me tell you where I'm going from here, and I'll probably paint by myself for just a little. Hello, Anne. Boy, I've got all kinds of pressure on me here. Good artists watching me paint. I love it. Did you catch the experiment, Anne? I just pulled off packaging tape I'm using as masking tape. This stuff. All right, so let me tell you where I'm going, because I'm going to stop this broadcast in just a minute. Number one, going to let it, there's a lot of drip and wet stuff here, as you can see. Let it dry. Then I'm going to apply this packaging tape, using it as a masking tool. Brenda, good night. Yeah, Richard, you got it. Masking, color sticks, pencils, etc. Yeah, exactly. You got it. Craziness. I'm going to let this dry. Then I'm going to apply more mask tape, not to be confused with masking tape. I'm going to apply more tape as a mask. And the question is, where? Well, where am I going to put it? Same mindset, same principle. This will be the third time I've done masking. Anything that I like the looks of, and by that I mean abstract, not talking about realism. Not like, oh, I like how I drew this car, or I like how I drew this window. No, 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 none of that. It's any abstract bits that I like. I'm going to cover them up so I can save them. For instance, right in here right now, there's some real interesting red. I have no idea where that came from or how it got there. But I like it. I like this little bit of red and green. I'm going to cover that up. I'm going to cover some of these areas that I've masked twice already. I'm going to mask a third time because I want to continue to save them. But it's anything at all. I love some of this dripping that happened up here. I'm going to mask that. I love this little dirty green dark drip coming down alongside that red. I like, and this purple right there. I love. So, do you understand that my mindset, my thinking here is, I'm thinking completely abstractly, not representational. Anything that that makes the little child in me go, "Ooh, look at mommy, look at." That's the stuff I want to mask. And my thinking is, every time I mask, there will be more of that I want to retain. I love this. Let me just zoom in here just for a second, because I want you to see why am I crazy. Again, think like a child. This is just a gorgeous little abstract painting right there. And by the way, where did all that red come from? That came from this watercolor stick, carelessly, if you will, loosely smeared on the canvas. And then when I applied acrylic glaze on it, the acrylic glaze trumps the watercolor glaze, if I may. And by the way, the acrylic medium trumps the watercolor medium, and later on an oil medium like linseed oil or liquid will trump the weaker mediums. Never mind, too deep. But I love this. This is just fascinating. The drips, the runs, complete accident. So I want to save some of that. I'm going to cover a bunch of that up. Anyway, that's the way I'm going to think. That way up here, in this corner, right here, this area has been masked twice. In fact, I don't know if the tape left something. No, I think the tape pulled off something. And that doesn't disturb me at all. That's just a little bit of interesting texture right there. Does that make sense? Once you get freed from this slavery to gotta render accurately, gotta be accurate. Once you're freed of that, you're free to do all kinds of things. Now, again, let me go back to on the other hand, I want my rendering, my drawing to be dead on, accurate, boom, photographic. Okay. Not to that degree of detail, but I want it to be accurate. So do you understand? There's these two impulses that are fighting with each other. One impulse is for pure abstract pleasure, if I can use that term, and the other impulse is for dead-on accurate rendering. That's why I don't believe in the term loose anymore, because loose has the connotation of inaccuracy. Hang on, all of a sudden I just saw, wait. Before I do white, well, I'm going to do another layer of white, but I'm wondering if I might do some drawing with small brushes. And I think the answer is yes, I will do that. Yep, but I'm going to mask for it. All right, I'm giving you more information you need. I'm going to end this broadcast in just a minute. Let it dry, apply mask for the third time over more area than heretofore. Then I'm going to draw with small brushes, and then my third application of white, and then I believe I'll be done. I'll be ready to go with oils, and I'll bring you guys back in when I turn that corner and do an oil glaze over the whole thing. Once I begin in oils, of course, I can't use the packaging tape anymore. So I'm thinking either wax paper or Oops, I'm not sure if that was plastic tape or acrylic. I better make sure I get all the tape off. Ooh, okay, so there's a piece of tape that got missed. Isn't that funny? That would not be funny if I miss it, because I do not trust the archival quality of tape. Although, yeah, no, I don't. All right. Thanks for watching. Any Facebook, YouTube people, you're saying, very blurry, can't see it well. Oh my goodness, let's try. Let me hold it still for a while. Let's see if it gets sharp. I know when I move the camera, it gets blurry for a second. Oh, good. If you pronounce Finucchi as one or Finucchi. Excellent, Finucchi. Where are you from? And yes, to answer your question, Finucchi, the tape has pulled off a little bit of acrylics, but that just makes for interesting texture. I'm sounding like a weird artist. Again, look at my finished stuff. You'll say, oh, he's not that weird. That made me decide. It happened in the first layer. That made me decide to be more careful. There's a little bit that got pulled off, but it doesn't bother me at all. It's just a little bit of abstraction that I'll work in. If I don't like it in the final edit stage, I'll just cover it up, that's all. All right, I've rambled on plenty long enough. Thank you everybody for watching, and I will be back later this afternoon, or whatever time it is where you are. Bye-bye.